Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. I'm Tatiana with Back to Facts. And I'm sitting here at Sunset Beach, parked. Wanted to talk about a few things that have been going on. So, coronavirus, the testing, the CDC has had the testing protocol in place for a long time. This happened with Ebola and other viruses. The testing protocol was you would only test people who had traveled to countries where the virus originated or had been found, and or had been in contact with people who had. But now, because we've had a couple community spread cases, which means they don't have any known source where they might have gotten it, they're expanding the testing protocol. The reason they had the testing protocol in the first place was that because the virus is new, or the virus is, they have to send those test kits to the actual CDC for testing. And in the past, they didn't want the system to get overwhelmed. Well, at a certain point, you kind of got to say, well, we don't want our country to be overwhelmed, so you have to test everyone. So now Mike Pence has said anybody can get tested. The Governor Gavin Newsom has announced that if it still says if you qualify for testing, meaning like if you are considered perhaps high risk or something, that you can go get tested for free. It's kind of like a physical exam, and whoever that was, welcome. I guess they left, but so that's what's going on with the coronavirus. And I also wanted to address the president's interview where he spoke about the fatality rate that we have so far. Now, I've published a couple articles about the fatality rate and the rate of contagion for coronavirus, and I've always put the caveat that it's too early to really get solid numbers, mostly because the virus hasn't played itself out this season. So we don't actually have very accurate numbers, and so of course President Trump in his inimitable way said to Sean Hannity that he had a hunch that maybe the fatality rate was not as bad as 3.4%. And I just want to say context. Who's that? Hello, who's watching? Oh, I don't know. I can't tell. Oh, we have 3 people watching. Let's see, who is it? It's not letting me know. Sorry. Well, hello, everyone. If it's Raul, if it's Colin, if it's Christina, if it's Charlie, all my friends, welcome. Happy Friday. So what I was talking about was the latest snafu situation, normal, all fucked up, of Trump saying something that gets taken out of context. So the outrage continues, the tweets continue. The President of the United States just said that he has a hunch the fatality rate is not as bad. OMG. He is not a doctor. He's a reality star. I think I heard on The View. We're not going to take our medical advice from a reality star. Okay, let me look at the context, okay? Because he's not wrong. As I said, the preliminary numbers on contagion and the fatality rate are going to change. The data is simply not there yet. And so he said, I have a hunch the 3.4% fatality rate is not correct. And he also said, I could be wrong. He did qualify it. And then the reason that he had this hunch is that there are probably a lot of people in other countries, he did not say that, but we know this to be true, who have it without knowing, because the testing protocols, people didn't realize, have it without knowing and have recovered. And so, since they are not known to us, if they were known to us, would skew the fatality rate. So the fatality rate would go down if we knew about all the mild cases. Now, this is not in left field, actually, or right field, because the numbers so far, which could change, are that 80% of everyone who has contracted the coronavirus, novel coronavirus, has a mild case. That means recovering within a few days. And that means flu-like. Now, is it flu-like for everyone? No. Obviously, immune compromised, the elderly and already ill people are not going to have a mild case. But so there's that. And that's about all I wanted to say today. I did some preliminary research on the economy because we have such a disconnect between those who support the president and those who don't regarding the economy. Is the economy really good? Are people still suffering? Are people suffering so much that they're waiting for a Bernie to take the money from the billionaires and give it to them? I know people who are just barely hanging on. And so we need to look at the numbers comprehensively, without emotion, and we need to ask the question, is the economy better? And 2, is Obama responsible? 1, is the economy better? The economy is better. I looked at the unemployment rate. Obviously, it's 3.6%, which many people didn't even think was possible, actually. When I was a business reporter, I can remember my editor saying, yes, the unemployment rate is about 4%, and that just means the unemployable. Those are the unemployable. And I was like, wow, that's harsh. But apparently that wasn't true, because now we have 3.6%. There's a catch, though. Hello, whoever that is. The catch is this number accurate, right? So then I went to look at discouraged workers. The number of discouraged workers has also gone down. They've also been getting jobs. So the leading economic indicators are better. In fact, in 2000 was the last time, the economy was really, really roaring. And that was mainly due to the dot-com boom, right? And then we had a bust. So that was because people were throwing capital around just at anything. And people got really carried away. Now, I'm sure there's some kind of bubble going on right now as well. But let's just focus on the unemployment rate for a second. The unemployment rate was 4% in 1999, 2000. And it's 3.6% now. So not only did the amount of people working rise continuously from when Obama took office, but it kept going when Trump took office. And the unemployment rate actually dipped down below where it had been when Clinton was in office. So there is no way that President Obama could be responsible for that. For that surge in jobs and opportunities for our citizens and the discouraged workers. Now, I maintain that this is because the borders have been reinforced, and people are actually hiring citizens now because we have a government that says we mean business. Now, is everything perfect? No. Trump golf courses and hotels probably still have contractors and still have people with fake social security numbers working for them. And you can't change these things overnight. But there is somebody in the government saying, there's a new sheriff in town, we're not going to let corporations undercut undercut their competition by using workers who are completely unauthorized to work here. And that's a good thing. Every other country does that. So Australia, England, you can't go to England and just start working. You can't be like, I demand to work because I'm a good worker. You'll get deported. You'll get put on a plane immediately. And I think that is one of the reasons that unemployment has dipped down below 4%. Hello. I don't know who that is, but thank you for watching. And so another thing that you have to look at is it's the labor force participation rate. And the labor force participation rate is finally going up. It's finally going up very strongly. So that economic indicator indicates that this is something new. This isn't something that President Obama is responsible for. Many people who are business owners know this already because they know that entrepreneurs and small business owners and others, billionaires and producers, were being blocked by a lot of regulations that weren't really protecting people. They just really didn't make a lot of sense. And that's what we mean when we talk about bureaucracy. Bureaucracy and corruption are the enemies of a good economy. Then we have, and the corruption is serious. So would it help if we took more money from the billionaires? And oh, I saw somebody saying, oh, the workers need to run everything. No, that's actually probably not a good idea. Business is hard. Business is the hardest thing. And you know why? Because business, when you study it in school, that's a framework. But in the real world, it takes talent. And here's the thing. The billionaire who starts a business, like Elon Musk, yes, he gets a giant reward. But he also assumes all the risk. Do I think CEOs should get paid less? Yes, they shouldn't be rewarded for bad behavior. I mean, take a look at Marissa, the Yahoo lady. I don't even know if she's still there. But she just ran Yahoo into the ground. I mean, has anybody seen their new platform was supposed to be called Oath? I mean, what happened to that? Did she get rewarded for that? Obviously, that's not really capitalism. So, yeah, we need to fix a lot of things, but taking money from producers and entrepreneurs and saying we know better how to spend it and then not fighting corruption is not the way. And I want to correct something that I said last week. I said that most Republicans are business owners. That's not true. A lot of Republicans, let's put it this way. Republicans are largely business owners and people who take responsibility for their lives, their financial existence. They pay their way, they work hard, they don't spend more than they earn. And it sounds trite, but it's very true. Oh, hi Rhonda, thanks for watching. I'm about to wrap it up, but go ahead and watch the replay. We were talking about coronavirus, and then we were talking again about the economy. So I was just saying that not all Republicans are business owners, but there are way more business owner Republicans than there are business owner Democrats. And business is hard. And what people forget is that business owners and employers are producers. They are the lifeblood of the economy. And you add that all together and you get prosperity for all. And that's what we forget. You know, I started hearing Bernie talk and it's like, yeah, why don't we have Montessori education for every single child? We should. And that's not socialism, okay, at all. What it is we got to pay attention to every citizen and every child equally. If we need to reform the tax structure that funds schools, you know, property taxes fund schools in the wealthy areas, and that's why schools are so forgotten and ignored in the non-wealthy areas, well, then we need to reform that, because either public education or school choice, we need to offer an equal opportunity of education to every single child, no matter where they live in the United States. That's not a socialist principle. That's just common sense. And so that's why in the past I have not supported Republican candidates, because I think they have half the story, maybe 3/4 of the story. You know, enlightened capitalism would be, if we have perfect information, then we can act in the self-interest of our country. So it is possible, but it's not going to be possible if we're being dragged down by a media that covers up for corruption, a media that, that promotes and publishes faux outrage about things taken out of context that really shouldn't even be an issue at all if they knew how to calculate percentages. I mean, come on, fatality rate, percentage, it's probably wrong right now. Yeah. You just do number of people who died divided by the number of people who had the virus. Okay, since we don't know how many people have the virus, and there's probably a lot undetected, then the fatality rate is probably wrong. So President Trump is right. So we all need to learn how to calculate percentages. And so when we have a media that is actively trying to keep the status quo going, the corruption, the ignoring of the inner cities, the ignoring of the children who are not getting a good quality education, then how can we have a conversation about socialism versus capitalism until we get rid of the situation? Right now, my son goes to a charter school. It's a magnet school, and it's in our neighborhood. And I know two children whose parents are driving them in from downtown LA every day. And I talked to a parent. She said it's so awful. I'm not criticizing. I'm sure there are wonderful teachers in downtown LA who try so hard. But I think that the dysfunctionality is probably overwhelming. And I think that, like the parent I talked to, she said they yell at the kids. Well, I mean, we just had some kids somewhere in New Jersey like beat up a teacher or a coach. I mean, this has got to change. So personally, I think we should change the public education funding from the property taxes in the neighborhood to perhaps more of a pooling of property taxes. But we got to get smart. And and you know what that means? That means uniting. That means coming together. That means being willing to listen and not being outraged by silly things just because the media is doing it. Let's get smart, okay? Don't believe everything you hear or read. And don't be outraged by superficial things. President Trump is actually really funny. And I saw somebody like, he's clearly a narcissist. It's like, oh, do you know him? Oh, well, you know what? Bring me along next time you go see him. Alright guys, have an awesome Friday, and the best is yet to come. I really believe that, okay? Let's just keep listening to each other and loving each other. Alright, peace, bye.